Melissa Gilbert had always been a familiar face in living rooms across America. She was the girl next door, the innocent child on Little House on the Prairie, the embodiment of wholesome Americana. But behind the soft curls and bright smile, a story lingered, one that the cameras never captured. One that whispered in the corners of Hollywood tabloids and late-night gossip. For decades, rumors swirled about her private life, rumors she rarely addressed. And now, after years of silence, Melissa Gilbert has confirmed what so many speculated. But the truth is more complex, more human, and far more heartbreaking than most could imagine. Imagine a young girl, barely 10 years old, stepping onto the set of a beloved television show. The applause, the warmth of the crew, the rush of recognition, from strangers all, intoxicating, yet suffocating. Melissa was adored, but adored is not the same as understood. She was a child star, a title that carries a weight most adults can barely comprehend. There's a lonely edge to being constantly in the public eye, where every smile, every tear, every misstep is analyzed and recorded. And in that scrutiny, the private corners of her life became a secret realm, a space where rumors thrived and truths were distorted. As Melissa grew older, those whispers only intensified. Hollywood, it seems, is a place where curiosity often outweighs compassion, where the world believes it owns the lives of those who entertain it. Romantic entanglements, struggles with relationships, choices made in the quiet of her own, became fodder for speculation. But speculation, as anyone who has lived through it knows, is rarely accurate. It simplifies the human experience into gossip headlines. Yet, there is an undeniable pull to these stories, a fascination with what lies beneath the polished exterior of fame. In a recent interview, Melissa paused. She looked down, as if weighing whether the world was ready for her truth. And then, with a voice steady yet tinged with emotion, she confirmed it. The rumors, some harsh, some deeply personal, some devastatingly intimate, were true. Not in the sensationalized, tabloid sense, but in the way that human lives are rarely neat. The confirmation was not a confession born of scandal, but of honesty. A deliberate act of reclaiming her narrative from the twisting hands of rumor and hearsay. Consider the courage it takes to say such a thing aloud, knowing that the world will dissect your words, twist your intentions, and form opinions based solely on headlines. For Melissa, it was not about justification or apology. It was about truth, about a quiet insistence that her life, complex, flawed, extraordinary, was her own. And in that moment, the public, accustomed to seeing only the polished image of a childhood icon, glimpsed something deeper. Vulnerability, resilience, and the human cost of a life lived under the spotlight. There are scenes that the public never witnesses. The lonely nights on a movie set, the silent dinners alone in a small apartment. The phone calls that went unanswered, not because of neglect, but exhaustion. Melissa's confirmation of these personal truths invites us into that hidden world. A world where fame is both a blessing and a cage. One can imagine her walking through a quiet Los Angeles street, past flashing cameras, past curious onlookers, and feeling the weight of decades of expectation. Each step carries the echo of a childhood lived in front of the lens. Each glance a reminder of the scrutiny that never fully disappears. And yet, there is light in this darkness. By speaking openly, Melissa transforms rumor into story, gossip into narrative, and private struggle into a testament to endurance. She reminds us that even icons are human, that even those who seem untouchable have hearts that ache, minds that wrestle, and lives that do not fit neatly into the boxers others. A sign, there is an emotional twist, Hera, reminder that confirmation of a rumor is rarely about the rumor itself, but about the courage to face one's life honestly. Even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is misunderstood, the question lingers. How do we, as an audience, reconcile our desire to know every intimate detail of someone's life with the respect due to their humanity? Melissa Gilbert's story forces us to ask, are we consumers of truth, or are we participants in a culture that thrives on conjecture? And beyond the glitz and the gossip, what is the real cost of fame, and what does it mean to reclaim control of one's narrative after decades of being scrutinized? For a story is not neatly wrapped in the answers we seek. It leaves us with open questions, haunting yet vital. How much of what we believe about those in the public eye is real? How much is projected, assumed, or fabricated? And most importantly, what do we owe to the people whose lives we watch unfold as though from a distance, never fully aware of the battles they fight behind closed doors? In the end, Melissa Gilbert's confirmation is less about scandal and more about humanity. It is about the courage to speak, the strength to endure, and the quiet power of honesty. Her life, once reduced to rumors and speculation, now becomes a narrative of resilience and authenticity. The world may never know every detail, but in acknowledging her own story, She invites us to look beyond headlines and see the person beneath, the person who laughed, cried, struggled, and survived. And perhaps, in that reflection, we find something essential for ourselves. The reminder that truth, no matter how difficult, always carries a kind of liberation. Melissa Gilbert's journey, from child star to resilient adult, confronting the whispers of the world, is not just her story. It is a mirror held up to anyone who has ever faced judgment, rumor, or the weight of public expectation. Her confirmation of the rumors is not the end. It is the beginning of a conversation about fame, privacy, and the human heart. And maybe, just maybe, it is an invitation to consider how we approach the lives of others, with empathy instead of assumption, with curiosity tempered by respect, and with the understanding that every life has hidden depths waiting to be acknowledged.